Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short Story 573, The Echoing Line, Intermediate. Sarah pushed open the heavy front door of her new flat, a faint smell of old wood and dust filling the air. It was a beautiful, if slightly worn, Victorian building in the heart of London. She'd found the flat at a surprisingly low rent, a detail that had made her a little suspicious but also very happy. The first few days were a blur of unpacking boxes and arranging furniture. One afternoon, while cleaning the small, forgotten cupboard under the stairs, her hand brushed against something cold and hard. She pulled out an old rotary telephone. It was black, with a heavy receiver and a circular dial. It looked like something from a museum. "Well, hello there," she mumbled, surprised. The landlord hadn't mentioned it. There was no phone line connected, so she assumed it was just a forgotten antique. She placed it on a small table in the hallway, thinking it added a touch of vintage charm. That evening, as darkness fell and rain began to tap against the windows, Sarah was reading in her living room. Suddenly, a shrill, old-fashioned ring cut through the quiet. Her heart jumped. It was the rotary phone in the hall. She stared at it, confused. How could it ring? It wasn't connected. The ringing continued, insistent. Slowly, she walked towards it, her hand trembling slightly as she picked up the heavy receiver. "Hello?" she whispered. There was a crackle on the line, like static from an old radio. Then, a voice, faint and distorted, spoke. It was a woman's voice, full of fear. He's coming." "The key?" "Under the..." The voice broke off abruptly, replaced by a loud, piercing scream. Then, silence. Sarah dropped the receiver as if it were burning her hand. Her breath caught in her throat. What was that? A prank? But how? Who? She checked the phone again. Still no wires. For the rest of the night, she couldn't sleep. Every shadow seemed to move, every creak of the old building sounded like footsteps. The next day, she tried to forget it, telling herself it was just her imagination, or perhaps a faulty old phone making strange noises. But that evening, just as the clock struck 9, the phone rang again. This time, Sarah hesitated. Should she answer? Her curiosity, mixed with a strange sense of dread, won. She picked it up. "Please?" "Help me," a different voice, a man's, rasped. "She's gone." "The attic." "Look for the diary." Another crackle, then a click. The line went dead. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. The attic? She hadn't even explored the attic yet. She found the pull-down ladder in the hallway ceiling and, with a deep breath, climbed up. It was a dusty, forgotten space, filled with old trunks and cobwebs. She searched, her flashlight beam dancing across the shadows. After 20 minutes, behind a stack of old newspapers, she found it, a small, leather-bound diary. Its pages were yellowed, the ink faded. It belonged to a woman named Eleanor Vance, who had lived in the flat in the 1920s. Eleanor wrote about her husband, Thomas, and their happy life. But then, the entries changed. Eleanor became increasingly fearful, writing about strange noises, a feeling of being watched, and a growing suspicion about Thomas. The last entry was short and chilling, "He knows. I hid the key under the floorboard, near the fireplace. He's coming for me. My dear diary, if anyone finds this, tell them. Tell them he did it." Sarah's blood ran cold. The woman's voice on the phone. He's coming. The key? Under the... It was Eleanor. And the man's voice. She's gone. The attic. Look for the diary. Was that Thomas, confessing, or someone else? She rushed to the living room fireplace. She ran her hands along the wooden floorboards. One felt loose. With effort, she prized it open. Inside, wrapped in a faded piece of cloth, was a small, ornate silver key. The phone rang again, startling her. This time, the voice was clear, chillingly familiar. You found it, didn't you, Sarah? It was a man's voice, cold and calm. You shouldn't have interfered. Sarah gasped. Who is this? The one who ensures secrets stay buried, the voice replied. And you're in my way. A loud crash came from downstairs. Someone was in the flat. She dropped the phone, heart pounding. The key! What did it open? She looked around frantically. Her eyes landed on an old, heavy wooden chest in the corner of the living room, which she'd assumed was just decorative. It had a small, intricate lock. With trembling hands, she inserted the silver key. It turned smoothly. She lifted the lid. Inside, beneath a layer of old blankets, lay a collection of old letters and a small, rusted pistol. The letters were from Thomas Vance to a friend, detailing his plan to get rid of Eleanor and inherit her money. He had written about hiding her body and making it look like she had run away. Footsteps pounded up the stairs. Sarah grabbed the pistol. It felt heavy and cold in her hand. The bedroom door burst open. A tall, shadowy figure stood in the doorway. He wore a dark coat and a hat pulled low. "Give me the key, Sarah," he said, his voice the same one from the phone. "And the diary." "Who are you?" she demanded, pointing the pistol, though her hand shook violently. "A descendant," he hissed, taking a step forward. "Protecting my family's legacy." Eleanor was a problem. "You are too." Sarah knew she had to act. She didn't know if the pistol worked, or if she could even use it. But the voices, the diary, Eleanor's plea from the past. She couldn't let him succeed. "No," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "The truth will come out." Just then, the old rotary phone in the hall rang again, a loud, insistent peal. The man froze, his eyes widening in fear. The ringing grew louder, impossibly loud, filling the flat, echoing from every corner. It was a deafening, terrifying sound. The man clutched his head, stumbling back. "Stop it! Stop it!" he screamed, his voice cracking. He turned and ran, scrambling down the stairs and out the front door, the ringing chasing him. Sarah stood there, pistol still raised, listening as the ringing slowly faded, leaving only the sound of her own ragged breathing. She looked at the phone in the hall. It was silent now. Completely silent. She walked over and picked up the receiver. This time, there was nothing but a faint, almost imperceptible hum. The line was truly dead. She knew she had to go to the police. Eleanor Vance's story, finally, would be heard. Within hours, Sarah was at the local police station, the diary, the letters, and the silver key laid out before a bewildered detective. The evidence was compelling, leading to a swift investigation. That a descendant was apprehended trying to flee the country, his family's dark secret exposed. Eleanor Vance's disappearance, a cold case for nearly a century, was finally solved, bringing a measure of peace to her long-silenced voice. And as for the phone, Sarah knew its purpose was finished. It had done what it needed to do. Vocabulary. Notes. faint adjective. Meaning, not strong or clear, barely perceptible. Example, Sarah pushed open the heavy front door of her new flat, a faint smell of old wood and dust filling the air. Similar words, subtle, slight, weak, dim, indistinct. Suspicious adjective. Meaning, having or showing a cautious distrust of someone or something, feeling that something is wrong or dishonest. Example, she'd found the flat at a surprisingly low rent, a detail that had made her a little suspicious but also very happy. Similar words, doubtful, wary, distrustful, skeptical, dubious. Rotary adjective. Meaning, especially of a machine part, turning in a circle around a central point. In the context of a phone, it refers to the circular dial used to select numbers. Example, she pulled out an old rotary telephone. It was black, with a heavy receiver and a circular dial. Similar words, revolving, turning, spinning, circling. Antique, noun adjective. Meaning, noun, an object, piece of furniture, or work of art that is old and valuable. Meaning, adjective of or belonging to ancient times, old-fashioned. Example, there was no phone line connected, so she assumed it was just a forgotten antique. Similar words, relic, heirloom, vintage, classic, old. Shrill adjective. Meaning, of a voice or sound, high-pitched and piercing. Example, suddenly, a shrill, old-fashioned ring cut through the quiet. Similar words, piercing, high-pitched, sharp, keen, ear-splitting. Insistent adjective. Meaning, demanding something forcefully, continuing despite opposition or difficulty. Example, the ringing continued, insistent. Similar words, persistent, demanding, pressing, urgent, determined. Distorted adjective. Meaning, pulled or twisted out of shape, giving a misleading or false account or impression. Here, referring to sound that is unclear or unnatural. Example, then, a voice, faint and distorted, spoke. Similar words, muffled, garbled, unclear, twisted, warped. Abruptly, adverb. Meaning, suddenly and unexpectedly. Example, the voice broke off abruptly, replaced by a loud, piercing scream. Similar words, suddenly, sharply, unexpectedly, without warning, quickly. Dread, noun. Meaning, great fear or apprehension. Example, her curiosity, mixed with a strange sense of dread, 1. Similar words, fear, apprehension, terror, alarm, anxiety. Rasped, verb. Meaning, of a person's voice, speak in a harsh, grating voice. Example, please? Help me, a different voice, a man's, rasped. Similar words, croaked, grated, growled, whispered hoarsely. Chilling, adjective. Meaning, frightening or disturbing. Example, the last entry was short and chilling. Similar words, terrifying, frightening, horrifying, unnerving, spine-tingling. Ornate, adjective. Meaning, made in an intricate shape or decorated with complex patterns. Example, inside, wrapped in a faded piece of cloth, was a small, ornate silver key. Similar words, elaborate, decorated, intricate, highly detailed, fancy. Pounded, verb. Meaning, hit or strike repeatedly with a heavy blow. Here, referring to footsteps. Example, footsteps pounded up the stairs. Similar words, thudded, stomped, clattered, hammered. Descendant, noun. Meaning, a person, animal, or plant that is descended from a particular ancestor. Example, a descendant, he hissed, taking a step forward. Similar words, offspring, progeny, heir, successor. Apprehended, verb. Meaning, arrest someone for a crime. Example, the descendant was apprehended trying to flee the country, his family's dark secret exposed. Similar words, arrested, caught, captured, seized, detained. Story written by Grok 3 AI. Image created by Imagio AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, unicorn heads.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into a really fascinating set of notes. Feels like something straight out of a mystery novel, honestly.
It really does. We've got source material about a woman, Sarah, who moves into this London flat.
An old Victorian one, right?
Exactly. And she finds this antique rotary phone, which seems to be, well, more than just an antique. It apparently helps uncover a dark secret, something from like a century ago.
Okay, so our goal today is to unpack these notes and figure out how this unconnected phone becomes the key, supposedly, to cracking a cold case.
Yeah, get ready for some pretty strange connections here. It takes what could be a simple ghost story and makes it about, history kind of reaching out.
So the notes start with Sarah moving in. London flat, Victorian era, surprisingly cheap. That's always a sign, isn't it?
Usually. So she's unpacking and finds this old black rotary phone just tucked away under the stairs.
No wires, no plug, nothing.
Yep. Just a vintage object. She thinks it looks cool, puts it on a table in the hall, a nice creepy decoration.
Until it isn't just decoration. Because the notes say, one evening, it rings.
Right. An old-fashioned loud ring from a phone that isn't connected to anything. Imagine hearing that.
I mean, seriously. So Sarah, completely baffled, answers it. And what does she hear?
According to the notes, it's this faint woman's voice, kind of distorted, whispering something like, he's coming.
Oh, creepy.
No. And then apparently just a scream and silence.
Wow. Okay. No explanation, just pure dread. That first ring isn't just a scare. The notes really set it up as the start of everything.
Absolutely. It changes the game immediately, and it doesn't stop there, does it?
Now, the source says it rings again the next night.
Yeah, and this time it's a different voice. A man's voice, raspy, pleading, please help me, and then something about...
She's gone. The attic. Look for the diary.
Exactly. So the phone isn't just making noise, it's delivering these fragmented clues, desperate messages.
Though the notes really lean into this supernatural angle. The phone as a sort of bridge, connecting Sarah to these past events.
Which is what leads her to the attic, right? Following that clue.
Yep. She searches around up there, finds this small leather-bound diary, belongs to an Eleanor Vance, lived there in the 1920s.
And that final entry, pretty chilling.
It really is. Eleanor writes, "He knows. I hid the key under the floorboard near the fireplace. He's coming for me."
And she tells the diary, if anyone finds it, tell them. Tell them he did it.
So that confirms it, doesn't it? The voice is the phone. They're echoes from Eleanor's time, validating Sarah's whole terrifying experience.
It ties the phone's messages directly to this past tragedy. So Sarah, following the diary,
goes right to the fireplace, pries up a loose floorboard, and there it is, wrapped in cloth.
An ornate silver key, the physical object the voices were pointing her towards.
But finding it isn't the end. The notes say the moment she has the key.
The phone rings again, third time, but this voice is different.
Clearer.
Yeah, clear cold. A man's voice. And it speaks to Sarah.
What does it say?
Something like, you found it, didn't you, Sarah? And then it identifies itself, sort of. The one who ensures secrets stay buried.
Okay, that's terrifying. And right then.
A loud crash downstairs. Someone's broken in. The threat is suddenly very real, very present.
So the stakes just shot way up. Sarah, realizing the key must be for something in the flat, finds this old wooden chest.
And inside... the proof. Letters from Eleanor's husband, Thomas Vance.
Detailing his plan, right? To murder her for her inheritance. And there's a gun, too.
A rusted pistol. Yeah, the whole sordid story laid bare. It shows how deep these secrets were buried. Literally in the case of the key.
And just as she finds this, the intruder confronts her.
A shadowy figure, yeah. Turns out to be Thomas Vance's descendant. Demanding the key, the diary, wants to protect the family legacy.
Unbelievable. So past and present collide right there.
Yeah.
The confrontation the calls were leading to.
But then the phone, in that moment of crisis.
It rings again. But this time it's different.
The notes describe it as impossibly loud, deafening, filling the whole flat. The sound itself becomes a weapon.
against the descendant.
Apparently, he clutches his head, screams, and just bolts, runs out of the flat chased by that sound.
Wow, so the phone, it finished its job.
Seems like it. After that, it goes silent, truly silent. It acted, according to these notes, as this strange agent of truth.
Helping bring a century-old crime to light. Sarah uses the evidence, the letters, the diary.
And Eleanor Vance's disappearance is finally solved. Justice served via antique telephone.
So when we dive into these notes, what's the real takeaway? Beyond the spooky story.
Well, I think it highlights how the past isn't always buried as deep as we think. And sometimes truth finds a way out.
Even through the most unlikely objects, like an old disconnected phone acting as a kind of temporal bridge for justice.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other stories are just sitting there inside everyday things waiting for someone to listen?
Absolutely. Makes you look twice at that old clock or that dusty mirror, maybe. Thanks for diving deep with us today.